We're barely scratching the surface with that one. The conversation continues, but we can tell you for sure that is Pengasent's position. The ball is in not just Pengasent's court, but in Dangote Refinery's court to ensure that the right things are done for the industry. But we'll switch gears now to an issue in Lagos right here, and Bukola takes this one.
Yes, indeed, Kayode. Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, describes the demolition of structures at the trade fair complex as a test of impunity, justice and compassion. But the Lagos State government says no, that Mr. Obi is only trying to whip up sentiment in order to misinform the public. But enterprise is at the heart of this matter, and that's why we're delving into this conversation. And joining us now is the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development here in Lagos State, Mr. Olumide Oluyinka. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning.
Now, the traders, we cannot ignore some of the concerns that they have raised. Some of them have said, my structures were demolished right before my foreign partners. Some of them said I lost everything in one day, and the Lagos State government did not issue notice. Why didn't the government issue notices to the traders before the demolitions were carried out?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to our dear Lagosians. That submission for me is not correct, because I led a team to that place March of 2024, and the whole idea was to sensitize them about the importance and need for them to get their approvals for the various developments. And that day, as we were about finishing, it almost turned to a chaotic situation, so we moved back. And we've been sending officers to that place, and we have on record that officers are arrested and locked up to as much as 5-6 hours, and we have to get them out through the police. The records are there. And the last one that happened, there was an invitation to the executive director, which she claimed that it didn't get to her. So the whole purpose is that it's not new to them that we are coming. And in actual fact, some of them have been coming. The guy that said that the building was touched has been to our office with the drawings. He's been advised on what to do. But the simple fact is that we all must just keep by the law. That's the simple fact there. We have authority there that the buildings there must be approved. And we went there that day, we met with the executive director. The resolution that day was that all development under construction should stop immediately, and they should avail us their layout approval and the individual approvals of those buildings from the Lagos State Planning Office. So,
speaking of approvals, some of the commentary trailing this is that the trade fair complex is on federal land and is being regulated by the Federal Housing Development Authority. Now, where is the conflict of interest here in terms of what the Land Use Act or the physical planning laws say? And why has this not been resolved over the years? Because the trade fair complex is as old as the 1970s.
Well, the management of the complex is under the Ministry of Trade and Commerce. It's not housing. Now, when you have a federal government land in Lagos, there's no dispute as regards the ownership. We're not talking about the ownership. What we are talking about is, as stipulated by the law, is physical development of structures on that place. And what we have seen in that place, you have a situation whereby the management is now leasing out to a third party, private individuals who marshal their own team of consultants and contractor, and started the development without recourse to the due process of the law. And you can see very clearly, because we were there that day, we showed them there's no meaningful, reasonable layout. That's the starting point before you even talk of approval. You have a 3-story building 2 feet away from the road curb, such that when you even open the door of those shops, they will swing over onto the road. I mean, you want to tell me that an architect, a serial architect, did that design? That can't be possible. We've seen cases there where you have, in fact, in that video, His Excellency Governor Peter Obi, where the stool is just about 2 meters from the drainage, and they have paved that place. Now imagine if that drain is to be cleared. You go in with a swan buggy. Where will the swan buggy dump the refuse? The trucks that will come to collect those refuse, where will they pass? I mean, these are simple law. It's a shame that we allow our trade fair complex to get to that extent. We explained all this to the ED of that place. No drainage, no walkway, no sewage treatment, no water scheme. Everything is totally shambles. I mean, they should even be happy that we are there to sanitize it, because that's our responsibility and we cannot allow it.
So what is the issue exactly? Because you've said a couple of things. So I want us to be able to differentiate what the issues are. Is the issue that they did not regularize their plans, approval, and all of that, or that they are building wrongly? Which one is the issue here?
Both, but the starting point is that you don't have, because that's the authority. And once you don't have that, for sure you are going to follow the law. Because
when you said you visited last year, you went to tell them, you went to sensitize them that, you know what, you should get approval for this thing.
Yes.
So it wasn't really about building wrongly, it was more about approval.
Of course.
So why not just say, you know what, we give you some more time? Because for a lot of these people, they invested millions, billions into all of that. And whether or not it's government, it's still investment that would serve Lagos one way or the other. They'll pay taxes, they'll provide jobs and all of that, get more investment in. So why wasn't that the approach? Give them time, regularize it, and then we'll move on.
I just told you that I led a team there last year, 2024, around March. And between March and now, that's over a year and a half.
But they said they didn't get any sort of...
I said I led the team there. I met with there was almost confrontation with the ED that particular day. So that's an evidence that we were there.
Them notices
that we were there. And we sent officers in that district. They go to that place to serve them notices that, please, this thing is wrong. Come and rectify it. And those officers were locked up for as much as 5-6 hours that we have to go there with police to get them out. So what more notice are you requesting for?
That was last year. That
no. Up till this year, officers went there and they were detained.
But you said the notice that was served them was that they're building wrong, that they should come and regularize.
Yes.
What they're saying is notices should have been served on them to let them know that their structures were going to be demolished. Was that done in clear terms, such that at least psychologically they could have been prepared?
That was served.
When was that served?
Maybe around June.
June 2025.
What you need to imagine is that if we try to go there and tell them that this thing you are doing is wrong, please come and do it rightly, and they are prevented. Now, if you now go and you are serving that we are coming to do this, how do you think they will react? How do you think they will react? Well, if for ordinary notification of, please, what you are doing is wrong, please come and rectify, they were detained. If they now go to say, I'm putting a paper that we are coming to touch this video, how do you think they will behave?
Well, Commissioner, so you've talked about your own process. They have been speaking about their own business. But the imaging, the messaging that this is sending for a lot of people is that Lagos State is against Igbo business people. And they've said this time and again. So seeing this destruction, for some of those people who were not sure where to stand, they're like, okay, maybe this is true after all. So what do you say to those people who say there is an obvious victimization of Igbo business people in Lagos State? That is not true.
That is not true to my knowledge. We've been to Owode Oneri, that's an area with the Southwest brothers. We've been to Idumota. We've been to Ikeja area. For me, there is nothing, it has no ethnic coloration there. The fact is that we just have to do our work.
Because
there is nothing that has to do with ethnic problem here. It's purely technical.
But the concerns have also been expressed about Igbo businesses in Alaba International Market as well.
That is not true. That is not true again. There is always communication, there is always discussion, there is always dialogue. But these people will refuse, and until force is applied.
Let me read a statement from Mr. Peter Obi.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're aware that he visited with some leaders from Southeast. I'm talking national leaders, senators, and the rest. And this is the statement he put out. The Lagos Trade Fair demolition, a test of impunity, justice, and compassion. In fact, he commended the traders for their remarkable restraint and calm in the face of such painful loss, which is different from what you said, that some of these traders arrest your operatives and keep them in detention. He went on to say that I urge government at all levels to act with compassion, fairness, and a deep sense of justice, especially at the difficult times. Many of the affected traders invested heavily. And his last paragraph says, a society that seeks to make progress must protect enterprise, encourage productivity, and defend the dignity of citizens. He says this is a test of impunity, fairness, justice, and compassion. What do you have to say to that?
A couple of months ago, there was a demolition by the Abia State government in Abia State. Early this year, there was demolition in Kaduna State. There was also demolition in Enugu State. Why should Lagos case be different?
Do you think he's overstepping his boundary by making such visit and statements?
He's an elder statesman, and he has his right to his own comment, to express his own comment. But the fact is that we went there that day, we addressed the press after the meeting with the ED. They can go back to that clip. The facts are all clearly stated there.
Just before we exit that particular talking point, I'm concerned, and I'm wondering if the Lagos State government will hold forums with, the Igbo business community in Lagos, just to reassure that they're not targeted. Just earlier on the show, one of our guests recalled events in 2023 when people who looked like they're from a certain tribe were targeted, during the elections in Lagos State. And, this appears as if it's not going away. And those who have business interests in Lagos and are from a particular tribe, they're feeling concerned. And we can also refer to other recent events. So is the Lagos State government concerned about that part of the conversation that seems to be shaping the ongoing demolition at the Trade Fair complex?
This is Nigeria. It belongs to every one of us. You go to the toll gate there and see the influx of people. In Nigeria, we are free to move anywhere and do whatever businesses we want to do. That is clean and clear. There is no dispute regarding that. What we are saying is that you should do your business or live in those places according to the law of those lands. Very simple. And like you rightly said, we have a stakeholder forum that we normally have with people. But in this case, if we are restricted, how are we going to enforce it? I told you that I led the team there myself, and after that, officers went there severally. So how do you even call them for a meeting?
So some have said that when it comes to demolition, there's no challenge of capacity for the Lagos State government. In September alone, there are reports that at least 15 buildings were demolished in Iyanowuru. And then we're having this round of demolition at the Trade Fair complex. So I'd like you to respond to those people who say that where there are serious issues of physical infrastructure defect, particularly on the island, we do not see officials of the Lagos State Building Control Agency rise to the occasion to do their jobs, that in fact some of the time they're compromised. What do you say to them when they say we see the zeal when it comes to demolitions, and that the state government has more interest about occupation of these lands or maybe the revenue that is coming from these areas?
That is not true. There has been a series of enforcement carried out on the Lagos Island. I have personally led 3 different enforcement that even the palace of a chief in Lagos was touched. I led the team there. A white cap chief in Lagos. I led the team there. So I think we should do away with this ethnic coloration that we're trying to put into this thing. This is Nigeria for every one of us. The facts are clear. When you are in a place, you have to live by the laws of that particular place. It's as simple as that.
I think a lot of people would be watching to see how this is then handled, because it has a potential to spiral into something even much uglier. But let's talk about the bigger picture.
The particular building you mentioned, the owner of that building has been to my office.
Right.
I've held meeting with him.
So that has been resolved?
Of course, the process is on. He's already coming up with all his drawings. So, I mean, there is no problem on this thing if things are done properly.
So let's tie this to the bigger picture, you know, of, you know, the urban planning, physical development here in Lagos State.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who will tell you, and I've been speaking with them, they'll tell you that it's a headache. It's a lot of headache trying to just go through the process. First, they say, can't we have this done online? You apply online, you get the approval online. It's quick, it's fast, it's seamless. No interface with anybody that says, pay money. That's one. Two, when it's time to enforce, just come to the facility, lock it up with you know, the special padlocks that you have. And then when it's time to, you have to go to the office. You pay people. They tell you, bring money for this, bring money for that, bring money to reopen. All of this not paid to government. People sit down in their offices and collect these monies. And I'm sure you're probably aware of that, because I have this on good authority. Why can't we do this digitally? There are other African countries that all you do is apply online. If there's any issue, you get notification, you submit more documents, and the process is seamless. In fact,
it's not as simple as you are saying it. E-system, fine, perfect, beautiful. But it's on the basis that people are ready to disclose correct facts. Now, you have it, about a month ago, we rolled out about 176 states as illegal. People shouted and screamed and screamed. Up to today, nobody has faulted us. The facts are there. They are there. Now, somebody applied, because for all those estates, we grant layout approval before you even proceed into individual buildings. And approval is granted, provisional approval, that you are building 30 units. You are supposed to have your infrastructures in place, and those infrastructures are not done. And instead of 30 approved, you now build 40. The E-system you are talking about is on the premise of disclosing facts. Now, your land is 700 square meters. And we are submitting a dummy survey of 900 square meters. I mean, it can't work that way.
So is that why
now,
they ask for money?
Regarding our officers, this is a country with super laws. Anybody that is aggrieved, we have the appeals committee there that you can report anybody.
So should they collect money to reopen? All this money to reopen your
no, that is where I'm going. That is, there are ways to detect fraud or anybody fraudulent activities. The police are there, the DSS are there, the SS are there that you can report. It can be traced. If there are any officer that is playing hanky-panky, they can all be traced. Once you are served, there are processes of this service. The first thing is they will start, please, we are at this site, there is no evidence of approval for this development. Now, that is one. The other might be that, okay, you have not done this development in line with the approval granted. Now, people now come. If we have a situation like that, the next thing should be that if it's escalated up, all those contraventions should be pruned off. But the same people now be wanting to come in and be lobbying officers. Now, if somebody is cheating, if somebody is cheating you, the laws are very clear. You can make a report. It can be investigated if you are on your right.
But they shouldn't collect money from people.
Of course, they shouldn't collect money.
And if anybody has can they report to your office?
Come again?
Can they report to your office if anybody?
Of course.
And punitive
we have appeals committee set up by the government. We've had cases where people have complained and we've been found wanting. Yes. The same thing, this one, if anybody feel like, if you can approach the appeal committee and lodge your complaint, and they will call us, it will be investigated, and true position will be granted to you, whichever party. And
we hope that the appeals committee is independent. Lastly,
of course.
And this is important. Is there an agreement now amongst traders at the trade fair complex between them and the Lagos State government that the Lagos State government is the go-to authority in terms of regulation of development of structures in that community, and they do not necessarily have to deal with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry anymore at the federal level?
There has not been a conclusive position on that. But the resolution that day was that, one, all current development should stop. And they should give us the evidence of the approval of the existing one, which is the starting point, in this case, the layouts, then in the individual permit. The ED agreed partially, disagreed somehow, but the conclusion was that, okay, they are going to get back to their own authority and clarify that. However, individual developers have been approaching us with a request for their permit. But the thing is that approval cannot be granted if there is no layout. It is the layout that says, okay, this is where the building should be. So we need to see the layout, the approved layout of that particular area. And what has happened is that, you know, trade fair is quite big. There is the initial one built by the government then you have this remaining space. The management are supposed to operate on the existing structure. But what we found is that the other areas have been leased out to individual private people who are now wanting to start development. And that is in the purview of the state authority to grant the layout and individual approval of those buildings.
So many gray areas, and you know, I'm glad we had this conversation. It shows that there must be continuous engagement among all parties concerned. We must thank you very much for taking out time to enlighten us on the issues. We've been talking with Mr. Olumide Otuyinka, the Commissioner for Physical Planning here in Lagos State. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And there are more issues to be resolved. This time we'll head over to Kogi State and check up on updates, you know, following that boat mishap in which a number of people are reported to have died. Stay with us. We'll be right back.